Okay, so up on the land again today. It's the next day, March 6th, and I'm gonna try to do some excavation today. I'll show you, we got kind of three different levels that I need to excavate down to, and it would be a lot easier if I had an excavator. And I have a friend who does have one, and I've been talking to him, and he said he can come out and help me, but he won't be able to get out here until like the end of the month. And I wanted to see if I could make some progress before that. So I'll show what we got going on here. You can see we've got kind of this level here, right? So we've got this area. I'm not sure you can see this string here. So this kind of goes all around and lays out the perimeter of the property. And like I said, we got three different levels that we want to excavate to. One of them is going to be right here, and this is going to be the crawl space level. And so all of this area here, we got to bring down to about that level. And then we're going to come over to here. Once we get out of the crawl space and get into the basement, that flag right up there, over to here, we'll have a step down where we're going to dig it 2-3 feet deeper than that to get to the crawl space level, to the basement level rather. And so that's going to be at this level here, and then we'll have one more step down to get to the garage level, and so that'll be at that level there. So there's kind of three rectangular areas that I've got to dig out and get them pretty close to flat, and then maybe my friend will be able to get back here with me and help me really kind of get that dialed in. And in order to know how deep I'm digging, I got a laser level that I'll set up here, and that really is quite accurate, but it's difficult, like I said, to do excavation. I got this machine over here that I'll be using, and it's kind of an all-purpose machine, not really set up specifically for excavating. So I have no idea how much difficulty I'm going to have doing this, how long it's going to take me, but we're experimenting. So we'll fire it up and we'll see what we can get done. Here you see me setting up the laser level I mentioned. Basically, you set it up in a location that isn't going to change during the course of the build and use it as a reference. So in my case, I'm setting it up to project a horizontal plane exactly 4 feet above this reference point that I'm standing at. I can then use the grade stick with the receiver you see me holding here to figure out how far above or below that reference point any other point on the property is. And I need to do that in order to know how deep to dig the crawl space, basement, garage, as well as the various footings and piers. Okay, now you see me jump in the machine I'll be using for the excavation, and then I'll kind of grease it up and get it ready to use for the day. This is called a compact track loader, and it's a very useful machine as it has a bunch of different attachments. You see with a bucket on it at the moment, but I've also got attachments that let me use it as a forklift, a rotary tiller, a trencher, even an excavator actually. Although the excavator attachment that I've got really isn't too useful for excavating such a large area. There are more expensive ones that could really make this machine basically into an excavator almost. But in any case, the best thing that I've got is this bucket attachment. So that's what you're going to see me using for the bulk of this excavation step. The reason I have this thing is that shortly after buying the land, I realized how much I could get done myself using one of these. For example, I wanted to clear out some trees that were in the area that we wanted to put the house. I also wanted to do some preliminary grading, like filling in some low areas and cutting down some of the high areas. I wanted to plant a bunch of trees around the perimeter of the property that required me to till about a 1/4 mile of ground. And I knew that there were going to be just tons of times that I could use a machine like this during the build process. So when I looked at the prices to rent a machine like this, I realized that I'd end up paying rental fees which exceeded the cost of just buying a used one. So I called one of the local rental spots, and I was able to buy one of them that they're going to cycle out of their rental fleet. But this thing has just been so handy so many times. I'm glad I've got it available to me. And anyone who has some land and likes to do DIY stuff should definitely consider a machine like this. All right, now I'm going to set the camera up and do a time lapse of the first day of excavation. But before I jump in and start digging, you'll see me check the vertical distance to the laser level reference I was just talking about a few minutes ago. This represents the depth I need to dig for the crawl space, and I'll need to excavate this whole area down to this depth. This and really the whole foundation setting process is a critical step that needs to be done very accurately, or else I'm going to have some real problems as I try to build the house. All right, so we ran into a little issue right over here. Show you. See this real soggy part right over here. Right here in that pipe coming out. You can see that corrugated pipe. So what that is an old septic line. So there used to be like a trailer here. Back in the 90s, 1991, they installed a septic field right there, and that was one of the lines that ran through there. So what we'll have to do is kind of dig that area out deeper, get down to harder soil, more compactable soil, and then we'll fill it in with stone or some sort of granular fill, and we'll go from there. But we'll just keep on rolling here. So I'll put it back into time lapse and keep digging. So calling it a day there. Starting to get dark, getting colder, but just to see what we got. So we were able to get a lot of this dug out. You can see, you know, this is kind of the level that we want to be at, right about here. But I'm having to go a lot further down in this area. I just want to make sure that I absolutely get all of that softer soil out of here. So I'll have to continue going up here. I'm going to keep following that out a little bit more, and I think I'm just about at the end of it over here. It's a lot firmer now. You can see there's still, you know, some of that crushed stone that's here, so I want to make sure I get to the end of that, get down to virgin soil kind of everywhere. So that's it for the moment. We will pick it back up maybe tomorrow or whenever time permits.